Hey everyone and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at the subreddit r/prorevenge, where people tell us their best stories on when they got revenge on someone or something they didn't like. If you're new around here, please do hit subscribe down below so that you never miss out on another video. But for now, let's sit back, relax and enjoy some pro-revenge stories. Use my friendship to steal from me? Get ready to pay me back in full and move. Okay, so this is going a long way back, but I was encouraged to put this up. Back in my years at high school, PS1, PS2 era, I lived with my grandmother because it was closer to my school than my mother's, who at the time was self-employed and now is a successful SEO developer. I was not popular in school, but had a closely knit group of friends on my home street. Myself included was 10 kids on our street, 6 of which were pairs of siblings across 7 houses. We all played games. We all completed games, but the amount of games we could get was different. Being the kid with the most, I offered that if anyone wanted to go on a game at my house, I would let them. Now, I have OCD, among other things thanks to a mental disorder. That meant I use Excel to record what games I own, if they were bought brand new, the price they were bought at, and I had dealt with people misusing my friendship in school, not high school, to steal from me, and my grandma coming in to save the day. But my main hobby is games, so when I started going to high school, I started pen marking the inside of game covers. The white side of the cover no one sees, doesn't affect resale value. I would also jot the mark down in a notebook with reference to the game name, again if it was new, pre-owned, or I had traded in. I would, on occasion, lend a game with the express direction that if you borrow it for more than 2 weeks, I would hound you for it back. People rarely borrowed from me, since what they wanted to go on, they could do so at my house. Around the age of 14, games started going missing. Losing one was not new to me, but the frequency of games that went missing had increased. So, I set a test. I bought a second notebook and wrote down where each game should have been, editing it if it moved. Sure enough, my copy of FF10 in my PC drawer wound up lost. It was then I realized the worst. One of my friends was stealing from me. I knew if I asked anyone on my street about it, whoever was doing it would stop and I would most likely never catch them. Fortunately, the ball was not rolling on certain things. While game FAQs were a thing, it wasn't big enough thing in my neck of the woods for anyone other than me to be using it, and I kept it that way by helping anyone on my street with information. Bear in mind, as well, the internet was not so readily used as it is now, and a PC did not mean internet access. A PC was just a workstation for schoolwork and PC games bought at a store. If you had internet, it either came with dial-up and was used by one person in the house, or you used the Sky internet keyboard to search using your set-top box. Secondly, and more importantly, it was a 15-minute ride to town and a 2-hour drive to the nearest city. The difference, town did not have a game station. The 2 places that sold and traded games in town had one policy. The game must come with a box, the disc, and the manual. I spent an hour removing every manual I had from the games and storing them in a box under the bottom shelf of my set of drawers. If someone was stealing them from me, they wouldn't be profiting off me anymore. I could glean information from outside sources. The 3 sets of siblings on my street were innocent. Group 1 I will refer to as sisters. Their mother came and helped myself and my grandma clean my great-grandmother's house on Saturdays. I would ask what they're playing on. If a game that went missing came up, I would ask, "Oh, when did they start on that?" For 2 reasons. 1, their mother was kind and I didn't want to upset her. 2, to avoid showing suspicion. However, it was responded with, "I bought them," or "They bought it when they were in town." So, innocent. The second pair, referred to as the twinnies, got whatever they asked for within reason from their parents. So, there was no doubt they were innocent. The third, brothers, the youngest couldn't keep a secret, and I was very good friends with. Helped him in schoolwork, made up the difference if he couldn't quite afford a drink or a chocolate bar, and made sure I was an ear for him to talk to. Because I didn't trust the other brother beyond friendship. If the older brother was playing anything that was missing, I would know and how. Again, innocent. That left 3 boys on my street of varying age, who I only know on a one-to-one basis. If I had any suspects, it would be them. Over the 2 years of maintaining the facade that I was blissfully unaware, I kept the helpful nature up enough so that no one ever questioned my gaming source, game FAQs. Sure enough, games kept going missing, but I was looking for something. No manuals, no trade-ins, no extra cash towards the latest games. I had actually been waiting for one of the games to go missing that people had seen me play and wanted to play. Vexx, a game similar to Mario 64, but replaced the stars with hearts. One of the hearts had copy protection on it, in that the answer was in the manual, a common practice before it became useless on the internet. Sure enough, a month after finishing it, it went missing. A week later, a boy my age I will refer to as TS asked me how to open the chest in the whale. Oh, it's in the manual. TS replied that he had no manual, and that it was bought at a car boot sale. In my mind, I had got him. His parents didn't go far, so no city trips or rare city trips. And there had been no car boot sales nearby in the last 4 months. I made my play. TS went to karate practice on Tuesdays between 7 and 9. I waited till 7:10 PM and went to his house with my grandma with my notebooks, printouts of my records on game purchases, and a document. I will get into that in a moment. After a brief talk of disbelief, I asked if I could prove if their son was stealing. Thinking I wouldn't find anything, they let me. I walked over to the copy of Vexx, sat in the front room, showed them the inside with no manual, showed them my notebook, and lifted the cover out of the game box, showing a signed pen mark that I had used next to the notebook with the same pen mark on the inside cover. While they were stunned, I took this opportunity to pick up a second and third, point to the pen mark in the book, and then move to the label accordingly to show an identical copy. The mother went white. I asked if I could go see if more were in the house. Shocked, the father complied, and after 20 minutes, I had 30 plus games on the table in front of them, all missing booklets, all with pen marks on the reverse of the label that matched the inside of the notebooks. But the best bit, upstairs on his PC desk was a note, detailing who had what. When I showed them the note, you could see the rage building in the father's eyes, while my grandmother talked to the mother about what could happen next, legal ramifications of thief, how he was now 16 and could be tried as an adult, with the right judge. I showed the father where I found the note, and he found folders of records of games owned by others, and when he had acquired them, and how much he had traded them in for. Yes, it wasn't just me. Over several years, he had been stealing games as far back as the Mega Drive era, playing on them till he was done, and then trading them in as his own to pocket the cash. He had only started with me since a few years back. My grandma had allowed me to move consoles downstairs for friends to go on the condition that it was only when I had friends round and only one console at a time, with only the game we were going on to avoid making a mess. Going downstairs, I laid out the document I had saved till now. It was a document that myself, my grandmother, and my mother had laid out, detailed that I would not take the evidence I had to the police on one condition, that every game wrongfully taken was returned to me or the original owner. If in the event it could not be, then the full price of the game when I bought it would be returned to my grandmother within 6 months' time, so it could be returned to the rightful owners in one form or another. I had to thank my mother here for the thought of wording it so that in the event I wasn't the only victim, all would have justice. So, thanks Mom. Both parents signed it. I signed it, and my grandma signed it. And the 4 of us waited at the time we talked over to how we would handle this, agreeing that I would take the folders home and do the research on the retail price on any missing game. When TS returned, the look on his face was priceless, as he stared at the folders and pile of games. In that time, I had called my granddad to help us carry the games and notes down the street back to home. Before leaving, we informed TS what would happen, much to his dismay. His house is 4 doors down and across the small one-exit street. At the other end is a garden and a modern train line, 2000s, that runs through the town. From 9 till 10, I could hear the father yelling at TS. Even when the 9:15 train went past, while I was going through the records on my PC, scanning them in a very basic scanner by today's standard, it felt great, and I found it soothing as I combed through. That weekend, I printed off several copies of the agreement and documents listing what had been stolen from each of my friends or pair of siblings, how much they were worth, and when to expect the money. I returned the folders and gave the parents a copy of the agreement with a value of how much he had stolen from all parties and could not return. They told me they would pay, and it would come out of TS's savings and allowance for the next 4 years. Both me and him were 16 at the time. He would be in his first year of university before he paid his parents back. Unsurprisingly, the karate trips stopped. Once they had closed the door, I pulled several envelopes out of my bag and made the rounds of my streets. Every kid got one of these envelopes that held the information relevant to them and a copy of the agreement. To my surprise, it took 2 weeks for every penny to be given to my grandma, using the records I gave to each of my friends exactly what they were owed in an envelope to avoid prying eyes. Once that was done, I waited till the following Monday and handed a copy of the agreement to my school. Like most schools, mine had a system to that duties would be delegated to the most trustworthy and well-behaved of the students that both me and TS were on. TS was removed from that list and the staff knew he was a thief. On my street, he was removed from the circle of friends. We wouldn't talk to him. He wasn't welcome at street events. Most certainly not any trips. In school, he was not allowed on the remaining few school trips because his father wouldn't sign permission slips. After that, I didn't change. Sure, we were one friend down, but none of my games went missing again. At 18, I moved because of college to my mum's, but I had only used the money returned to me by then on a 360. My mum keeps a framed copy of the signed agreement in the office, and I keep the original framed in my office to this day to remind me. Unsurprisingly, after finishing high school, he and his parents moved away, as it was quite clear that the kids and parents alike wanted nothing to do with him. Wow, that was such an outstanding and classy and well executed example of pro-revenge. It was literally perfectly executed with all the paper trails and everything, and he didn't get arrested or anything, but his social reputation's just ruined now because he's a thief. Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like. And if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.